I figured I'd do something a little different than a tutorial, and this is a project breakdown, kind of overview of what I did. It's not anything crazy, nothing mind-blowing, but if anyone's interested, they could watch it. And the reason why I want to do a breakdown instead of a tutorial takes way more time. And then if I'm going from A to Z the first time for a tutorial, there's things that, you could be adjusting, tweaking, or could have done better. So a project breakdown makes it easier for me because I get to do the project, get it done, and then kind of go over what I did so I could easily break it down and explain what I did, how I did, and why I did. So this is a little thing again for Instagram for as a demo reel. And what it is just the door opens up and there's a Ferrari showroom inside. Very simple, 7 or 9 second clip, nothing crazy, but shot this the footage on my camera, Sony A1. That's what I used for recording. It 4K, 30 frames per second. Very simple. Just walked by, recorded a closed door shot, a lot of tracking elements here to track to, and that's it. So now the way I did it was first things first is I tracked it in Boujou. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I did a imported the image sequence, so all the images. Then I did track features. I went to advanced. I did normal. I did 25 and 5. Then click start, and that gave me this. This was the first track I got. Now I went and I hid the predictions and I created my own little locators. So I clicked on add locator. Now just hit it here, then go to the last frame and align it and keep looking at it. And that gave me all the markers that, sit nicely. And then after I did all that, I would go to 3D task and solve adjust. So that way just adjust the camera. Oh, and before I did the locators, or before I did the solve adjust, I did a assess lens distortion, and then I did the solve adjust, and that kind of helps fix any kind of weird distortions that the program doesn't like. And then I created a let me see, a test object or meshes models. I guess I didn't spit it out. It was here somewhere. But in a nutshell, to test it, I selected this point, and this point. I went 3D and just created a plane. I went into an orthographic view, and this kind of helped me really see the quality of my track. So as you can see, the wall perfectly straight, and that made me very happy. The fact that I know a flat object is flat. So then I went to export camera. I did a Max script, 3D Max. I set the scale to 500, spit that out. And then I went to export, and then I went export sequence, and I did a JPEG, and I made sure to check lens distortion, and I spit out the lens distortion version. And that's it. The tracking was good. I was happy with everything. So I'm going to close that out. So then all these image sequences, and what I wanted to do was I wanted the door closed, and then I wanted the door to open. But I wanted a 3D door with the textures that are kind of accurate to what the scene was. So what I did was I went to AGISoft, and I use this for all my photogrammetry, and I actually put in all the images from the video and clicked generate. I did a model, blah, 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 and I did a build mesh, and I did high quality. So it was from depth maps. I did high quality and high, and it created this model. And I believe I did high. Let me check. I can look over here. 3D model. Oh, I did ultra high. And then if you look at the model without any textures, it actually came out pretty awesome considering this was just video footage and I just spit out JPEGs. But what it did allow me was to have this door. So now if I turn on, where is it, the textured version, I had to create a 16K texture, and that's just my own personal preference. And then I went in 3D Max, so I exported as an OBJ, brought it into Max, and then I sliced the door up, so I just have the front of the door. And then for my material of the door is I did a black diffuse, and I did a self-illumination map. And the reason why I did that is because I did not want the texture of the door and the texture of the video to have different intensities, because I am using the footage, and in theory the lighting of the footage and the lighting of the CGI door should remain the same. That's why I did self-illumination. And then last but not least, I actually did shoot a HDRI on location, and there's a preview of the HDRI. So it's a JPEG, but as you can see, it's exactly where the spot was, and I just used an 8K HDRI for this. So then once I imported everything to Max, I positioned it so it's nice and straight, XYZ, all the goodies. And there's the camera move. I animated the door going up. Then I went in and started modeling the environment. So first thing I did was I selected the helpers that I have, which would be these right here. Let me unhide them. So it's these points. I created a shape, and then I created a plane, which then allowed me, so as you can see, here was my shape. I created a square or rectangle to represent the door. Then I extruded it back like so, so I have some depth. And while I was doing that, I was kind of working in this view right here just to get my lines to match up. So let me undo this back face. So once I had the lines matched up, I was pretty happy with the sense of placement and everything. So then I did some modeling, moved it around, added the edges, added the lips, and then I use smoothing groups so that way I don't have to model in all the tight corners. As you can see, so I have that, and if you do V-Ray properties, it's a matte object. And I did not want shadows because all the action's inside, so I didn't care to render that. So I unchecked shadows, and I just made the rendering even faster. And then after that, if I hide that element and hide my helpers, so I just took the door and just manually animated it to just slide up. And nothing crazy, just a little soft Bezier curve, nothing too harsh, just so it's easy on the eyes. So that's that. Threw in some cars, some rectangle lights, a ground plane, a wall, and that's it. And then I have the HDRI in here, and inside, because these things are very light materials, they created some noise and grain. I threw in just a V-Ray plain light just to give it an extra easier to render light source, so that way I could get rid of the flickering without having crazy high render settings. And that in a nutshell is the project. Rendered it out and then quickly composited in After Effects with some color grading. Hope it helps. If anyone has any questions about anything, just put them in the comments and I'll get to them when I can. Thanks.